Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the Dork Podcast. Ryan Davis. It's the Dork Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag Dork Podcast.
Thanks for tuning into this special edition of the hashtag Dork Podcast. My name is Rich Keefe, joined by a special guest today. She is actress, producer, writer. You may have just seen her as Mrs. Lily, aka Alex's mother, in the #1 movie in America, Weapons. It is Callie Schuttera. Callie, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me, Rich.
Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on all the success so far of Weapons. It must be a thrill. #1 movie in America, rave reviews. People are loving this movie.
Yeah, thank you. It is. It's been a whirlwind. I think it exceeded all expectations so far, but also I know there was a loyal Zach Cregger fan base waiting for this to come out. So we should have expected the rumble, I guess.
Definitely. Now, had you seen Barbarian before you had read the script for this? Like, you were well aware of Zach Cregger?
I had, yes. I'd seen Barbarian twice in theaters. I was a fan of Whitest Kids You Know. In high school, that was, I think, our #1 quoted show of all time. And when I got the project, all it said was Untitled Zach Cregger Project. So I immediately knew I wanted to do it. And this is the first project I've done where I just had so much admiration for the director going in.
Was there a moment when you were reading the script where you were like, oh, this is legit?
Yeah. I love a good chapter sequence in a film. And I thought this one was done so well. You always knew where you were in space and time. And I think there was a feeling amongst the whole cast that we were making something really special from the beginning. We all had access to the full script. But I think none of us could have expected that the mainstream would bring this on. We kind of thought, okay, this is going to top the horror charts when it comes out. But seeing so many people outside of that loyal fan base be brought into this world too, that's really exciting.
So you mentioned the cast, which is like a powerhouse cast, and I'd read things, it's the internet, so I could be wrong, but you read things like Pedro Pascal was originally going to be in the movie, a few other big names, and then all these things happened from a couple of years ago, and now Josh Brolin's in, all this switcheroo. So when you first joined the cast, was it what it looks like today, or were you a part of it when there were moving pieces?
I might have been one of the last additions, so I may have been one of those cast members that would have been somebody totally different prior to the SAG strike. I do know Pedro Pascal was, I think, attached to play and then had to back out because of the Fantastic Four. And it's hard to imagine the cast with anyone different that's what's in it. It feels like it was written for them. But I came in maybe 2-3 weeks before we started filming. So I was a late addition.
And I assume you just auditioned for the character you played, or do you audition for somebody else? Or
no, I auditioned for Mrs. Lily. And as far as I know, it was just myself and Carrie Christopher, who plays my son. As far as I know, it was just the two of us who did a true classic audition for this film. Like you said, the cast is just a bunch of powerhouses. So most of them, I think, went straight to a meeting with Zach, maybe a chemistry read. But we sent in our tapes for this.
Speaking of Carrie, so how do you find out about that? Is it like, how long does it go from you sending in your tape to you knowing you're going to be in the movie?
It depends on the project. This one was very fast. So I sent in a tape. I was on another project in Nantucket, and I think I sent in a tape on a Tuesday after we finished filming. And then maybe by Thursday, they said, hey, we're really interested. Can you read the full script tonight before you have a meeting and a call back with Zach, which is also over Zoom. And so it happened very quickly, but sometimes it's weeks and weeks.
As a non-actor, non-writer, non-director, how long does it take you to read like a movie script? Like, is that like hours, I would assume?
A few hours. Yeah. I can read it in maybe 2 if it's a short script. But I would say usually I'd like to have a couple days with it, but I knew we were in a hurry. So I finished up on set that day, went home or to my hotel room and read through it.
So I heard an interview that Zach Cregger did, and he was asked about like rehearsals, and he says there's not really rehearsals, but you guys did a Zoom read, like the entire cast did a read on Zoom. What was that like?
I actually was flying from my other project at the time. So I was not a part of the Zoom cast read, which I think was good. I think I might have been intimidated seeing like, Josh Brolin and Julia Garner's faces on my laptop, I think maybe going the way I did was best.
Did you get to go to like the big premiere out in LA? Did you get to see it with an audience and hear their reactions to it? What was that like?
Yes. I mean, I've heard that all theaters have been really rambunctious who've been going, but that one was a very special experience because it was not only people who were already fans of Zach, it was the cast, it was some crew members. So it was probably the best theater going experience I've ever had. It was constant laughs and it was just a really good time.
How many times have you seen, or are you somebody that are you okay watching yourself on screen, or are you like, hey, I made the movie, that's good, like I let other people watch it? Where do you come down?
I have gotten much better about it. So at the beginning of my career, even my first audition tapes, I didn't really want to see. And I think that's part of acting, like acting so inherently embarrassing as a career that if you can move past that and get comfortable with that, I think that's half the battle. So I felt good about this, especially because I felt so much pressure as to whether or not it was going to turn out good and live up to the rest of the cast and Zach's expectations, that by the time I saw it, I think I just breathed a sigh of relief, and it was positive.
Yeah. Have you gone back to other screenings to see other people's reactions? Because I think that's probably what I would do. I'd probably just keep going to see the movie and like waiting for people and seeing what they're doing, what kind of noises they're making as this movie is going on.
I went to a sold out IMAX showing in Burbank on, I think, the pre-opening, so August 7th, that Thursday. And I had a good amount of friends with me. One of them made me a crown of forks to celebrate.
Of course.
And it was, and that was another super rowdy theater. It was a lot of fun.
I bet. All right, yeah, and so feel free. Like, we did a whole episode, both spoiler free, I guess, and then spoiler full. So for this episode, if you have not seen Weapons, maybe pause it. You can circle back to it. So feel free to whatever you want to get into. We'll hit the spoiler warning for the people.
Great.
Spoilers! Spoilers! Here come the spoilers!
Because you mentioned forks, so we can get into forks, obviously. But I have a question for you, and I honestly, I don't know the answer to this. One of the best scenes, not just in the movie, but one of the best scenes I think I've seen all year is when Julia Gardner's character, Justine, is asleep on her stakeout. And she falls asleep, and you, the audience, are looking, you're like in the front seat with her. And then you pan up to the door of Alex's family's house. The door opens, somebody emerges from the door, and you're like, okay. And you're like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then she does the crazy walk all the way down and then looks in, goes around. You know the scene I'm talking about, cuts the hair.
Oh, yeah.
Was that you?
That was me.
Okay. Unbelievable. Like, it really is the scene that stands out to me of the whole movie. Can you take me through that process? How you came up with the walk, how you came up with the look in? It's unbelievable.
That walk was a very specific vision of Zach's, because obviously everyone else in the film, they have their arms out walk. But I think essentially he didn't want to give it away that anyone with those arms was coming out of the house that early, or else you might have put the pieces together too early. So I did that walk during the audition for Zach. And I called my agency afterward and was like, hey, I think this meeting went really well, but if we don't get the part, it's because of this walk that I'm not sure I can do. He had such a vision for it. So the whole time I was in Atlanta for months, it was the last thing I did was this walk, this scene. It was my last day on set. And I was in my hotel room practicing this walk because it was so specific. And I knew I just wasn't quite doing it exactly the way Zach had envisioned. And I was so determined to get it right. So I have a bunch of videos on my phone of me in a hotel room practicing that walk. And we got to the day and it came out so much more comedic than I probably even intended it. And I'm so happy I did. I think it cuts the tension really nicely. And you can even tell from how that's filmed, it's all one take that we used. And that's my hand too, coming into the car. So I did go all the way around the car.
Wow.
That's me cutting. And I think that just speaks to how clearly Zach saw it in his mind.
It really, I mean, it's incredible. Like, it's, I mean, I think it's an interesting debate about how funny the movie is, because I think at that scene, there were people in my theater that laughed, and it might have been sort of like that nervous, cut the tension laugh, like you were saying. I think it's like, it's creepy, and it stands up there with like great horror moments. It's like when in Psycho when like Norman Bates' mother is like walking like down the hall like really fast. Like I don't know. I think it stands out. I didn't laugh. I was more like freaked out than anything else.
I think it's almost, I agree with you. Maybe it's a attention cutting thing, but I think also inherently like all of the possessed walks have their own comedy to them in a certain way. And then I think when Mrs. Lily stops in front of the door, you give yourself permission to laugh, which I think is what helped everybody be so freaked out a moment later, is you thought you had made it past this obstacle or that she wasn't in danger. And so I think the comedy is actually a piece of why it's so scary.
True. I mean, it's so well done because you keep waiting for something else to happen. Like you keep, as you're walking out, you're like, oh, they're going to cut away. They don't. You go in like the window, you think you're going to burst through the window. You don't. Then you go around, they're like, oh, she's in there. She's going to like cut her throat. Maybe you're like, nope, just snip the hair. Like it's excellent. How many times ballpark did you have to do that walk?
I want to say 5.
Okay.
I want to say 5.
It's pretty good. I mean, that's fantastic. Is that the scene or is it the fork scene that people are asking you the most about?
So it's funny. I think Forks seemed like it was going to be like the big iconic moment for myself and Whit, who plays my husband. And at first it was, I mean, I had people, coming up to me on the
Yeah.
But I think just like you said, that haircutting moment ended up feeling so specifically horrible to so many people. And it was just sort of a universal fear moment for so many people that I'm seeing way more content about that now.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, especially once this thing becomes available for like streaming and everybody has access to that scene. On the end of that scene, how many times did you have to cut Julia Gardner's hair, and how did that work? Obviously like a wig of some sort, but like, did you have to do multiple cuts, I assume?
So we practiced it a bunch before we did the actual takes, and Zach had a really specific, timing is everything in that. So he had a specific way he wanted that done, specific way he wanted the hair pulled. So we had a fake piece of hair, and Julia Garner is lovely, so down to earth, such a nice person. But this was my only real scene with her. Yeah. And I was so afraid that I was going to cut her hair. So I had to assess very quickly in the dark which piece was the fake piece and which was her real hair.
Wow, that's pretty good. But so she trusted you, in other words.
She was lovely.
And then I guess you had a lot of memorable scenes. The whole movie's very memorable. It really truly is one of the best movies of the year. There's your poor son Alex having to feed you guys soup, so there's quite a bit of soup. And knowing that you were coming on the podcast, I'm nothing if not professional, so I went back and watched one of your earlier films, Blue, that you co-wrote with your wife and your wife directed. Great movie, but I don't think you're doing Big Soup any favors.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
In that movie, not to spoil, this happens in like the first 20 minutes. Your character tries to commit suicide by putting rat poison in soup. And so I watched this after Weapons and I'm like, oh my God, she's tearing down soup.
I feel like Campbell's could come after me for defamation at this point. No, I never thought about that. That is very sweet of you to go back and watch that film. That's our first feature that we've ever done. We scraped that together with about 50,000. I think which we made that with. But yeah, soup might be mad at me.
Soup's unreal. Yeah, the movie's called Blue, by the way, for those wondering. It is on Amazon Prime right now, so it's easy and very available to everybody. Are you a horror movie fan?
I am.
Yeah, okay. So that helps. What are some of your like go-to signature horror movies that you like?
So, The Exorcist is to me the scariest movie of all time. So classic, I'll say Exorcist. It still freaks me out. My daughter is now of horror movie seeing age, and so she wants to see everything. Her favorites are the Final Destinations. And
so did you see the new one? Did you see the new Final Destination?
Oh yeah, she loved it. We loved it.
Oh, it's great.
I know. And she's 14, by the way. I promise I'm not showing like a elementary school aged child these films. But she told me, she's like, Mom, I really want to be scared. I really want to be scared. What can you scare me with? And so I was like, all right, we'll watch The Exorcist. I scared myself again. She was fine. But to me, that is the scariest movie of all time. And then newer films. This year, I really liked Sinners and Bring Her Back. I thought that was fantastic. And I need to go see the first film from that group.
Talk to me. Yeah.
Talk to me. Yes.
Yeah, I think it might be on Netflix right now, but yeah, both are excellent from those guys that sort of similar to Krieger. I kind of put them in the same category where it's like they're 2 for 2. Like it's 2 great movies
Yeah.
back to back. I'm curious, would has your daughter seen Weapons?
She did.
Okay. All right. What'd she
Yeah.
think?
She loved it.
Yeah.
She really wanted to go to the premiere, which she didn't get to go to. But we went with a big group of our friends, like I said, on that first night. And then she wanted to go again the next night. So we took some of her friends and they all shouted at the theater, including her friends, not just mine. They all shouted, "That's my mom!" When it came up on the screen, and I think they might have upset some other theater
All right.
goers.
That's all right though, but they should be proud. We mentioned Brolin and Julia Gardner, but Amy Madigan, who you do share scenes with, is insane. And I'll tell you from the trailer, I didn't even know she was in this. I was like, oh, Brolin, Gardner, it's another Zach Krieger. Kids disappear from a classroom. I'm sold. Like, I'm like, this movie's going to be incredible. And then she pops up, and I feel like every time you see her in the movie, she looks a little bit different. She's doing something different. It really is an amazing performance, and you shared a bunch of scenes with her.
Yes, and
Yeah.
she is one of the most incredible actors I've ever had the pleasure to share a space with. She's so giving as an actor, just a lovely, like, grounded person. But then I'm sure you know that when you film scenes, if it's just a close up on you, sometimes other actors will go to their trailer and you'll just do your own stuff. Amy would sit there when we were doing fork face, things she did not have to be there for. She was always there for Carrie, for myself, for Wit. She was always providing that presence for us, whether she was being seen in the shot or not. And I just remember thinking, this is an Oscar-worthy performance. As she was doing, I thought this is mind-blowing.
It truly is. And as you know, I mean, horror movies sometimes get recognition, then other times they get completely overlooked. Like, hopefully you guys don't get overlooked, and she definitely deserves whatever award you can give her. She was great. And
Give
now,
them,
yeah, take them. Like, and now the talk is maybe a prequel around Gladys. Have you heard anything specifically about a prequel?
I've heard some rumblings, and it seems warranted with the amount of love that there is for Gladys. I think that one of the greatest things about Zach is all of these original films that he's bringing to life and not having to work from existing IP. But Gladys is going to be beloved. It's going to be the #1 Halloween costume of the year.
Yeah, it is. Good call.
And someone even said to me, a friend of mine, Clayton, who plays Terry in the film, he said, I was reading the script and I think this is going to win an Oscar. And I remember thinking, like, wouldn't that be nice? But nobody's going to recognize this. But I think there's some performances from Amy and then the camera and Zach's directing that's just undeniable. I would be surprised if nothing came of it.
Another question I have for you as it relates to that character specifically, because I've only seen the movie once so far, so maybe it's better explained. I couldn't figure out at the end when I was looking back thinking about it. Is she actually like your aunt, or did she already put a spell on you? Like, I was trying to figure out if she just parachuted into this family or what the connection is. Is there anything you can help me figure out?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? So my understanding is that Zach gave Amy the choice that she could be a human being who became involved in witchcraft throughout her life and became this kind of entity, or she could be a demonic entity that took over the aunt's body. And as far as I know, he never did ask her which one she chose. So that performance is sort of up to your interpretation if that is in fact the case. For my mind, she was a real person. The aunt had to exist for me because I think she preys upon my loss of my mother. And that's how she gets into my house. I've lost my mom. This is my way to honor her or regain a piece of her. And so I think maybe she existed enough that I knew her name. I had seen her before. But I mean, yeah, I don't want to choose for Amy. Whatever choice she made is so fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the prequel, they kind of figure that out, because you were having conversations, like, you clearly had an aunt, and, like, there was a conversation between you and Wit, who played your husband, about, maybe she won't stay that long. But I feel like all that happened before you were sort of under the spell.
Yeah, well, I think Wit was under the impression she was just gonna die within a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Uh, what is it like playing basically two versions of a character, right? Like you're playing like the mom and like the wife, but then also when you are just under that spell and doing like chasing your kid around the house by the end of the movie and all that, like it's really is two roles.
Yeah, I agree. And I actually would even call them 3. I think there's mom, and I think then there is like fugue state mom, and then there's chasing Carrie down the hallway mom. And for me, the way I dealt with all that stillness that we had to do and all of the sort of sitting and the staring, I didn't want to just be blank about it, and I wanted to have some character development for that. And so as a mom, you go through periods where you get overwhelmed. I think every parent does. And so I sort of imagine she's going through all this stress. What if she just sort of got that wish that moms sometimes wish for, where they think, "Oh, I just wish I could shut everything out for a minute." And then she gets stuck in that place. So I sort of imagine that there was like this relief to it, this, "Oh, I don't have to do anything. I'm not responsible. I don't have to coordinate my life anymore," but also a trapped element to it.
I'd say the first time we see you in that state and you're
Mhm.
like sitting on the couch, also one of the great like stills in the whole movie, and it's like scary, and now you're like wondering what's going on. You'd mentioned Carrie Christopher, who plays Alex. Kid actors, admittedly, can be hit or miss. Like there's some good ones, there's some not so good ones. He was great and played such an important role too, where you're like, if he doesn't nail this, it's like it might not hold up as well as it does, but he crushed it.
He did. Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it translates so well. He's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And even when he walks with his big backpack and he's walking down the street is so endearing and sad. And but in real life, he's a very happy, very upbeat young man. He's very smart. And I mean, he could do anything he wanted. He has many interests.
Mhm.
So we'll see if acting even, has longevity for him, because he has so many exciting things that he wants to do with his life.
How was it? I know you probably didn't have too many scenes with him, but meeting Josh Brolin for the first time.
He's lovely.
Yeah.
He's incredibly down to earth. We would share a makeup trailer quite often, and he just was so kind to everyone. Yeah, we didn't actually have any scenes together, but we did end up in the makeup trailer a few times together. And he's always talkative, always sweet. Sometimes you could catch him sitting over with the transportation department, like the drivers. He would be over in those circles. So he really was just another one of the crew.
I don't know if you saw Whit Thomas's other movie from this year, Friendship, but that is a great movie. My podcast co-host actually pointed it out. He was like, hey, he's like the dad was actually in Friendship. I'm like, he was like, I missed the connection, but two of the best movies of the year. So he's got a good 2025 going.
I did see Friendship. I loved it. I thought it was such a unique comedy. And Whit really has a lot of range. I think to see him as just an adorable dad trying to pump up his kid. By the way, all of those nicknames that he has for Alex in the film, those are all improv.
Oh, nice.
And then to see him go to Friendship and just be, just such an asshole. That is so much fun.
It's great. So I mentioned you're not just an actress, you're also a producer, you're a writer. How are you balancing your time? What are you kind of more focused on right now out of all those?
It's a busy time. So we do producing for a lot of different companies. Sometimes we'll do some music videos for Warner Brothers or Interscope. We've done stuff for the LA Times. But if all goes well and we have, our greatest wishes, then we are making original content. And so next week we are starting an original script that my wife and I and our friend Josh wrote. My wife is directing, and it is a thriller horror. And we start filming a week from today.
Oh, is there anything else you can tell us about the movie? The title, plot? Anything? Yeah. Okay.
It is tentatively titled The Safe House, and it is about a maybe not so distant America where citizens are trying to flee the country and get into other countries as refugees. And in this circumstance, it's not so easy to leave the country. So you have to go through a system of like underground safe houses, like the Underground Railroad, but to get out of and the safe house that this particular group ends up at turns out to be not very safe.
Okay, I like it. Very good. Before you get out of here, any TV current TV shows, current movies, besides your very own Weapons, that you've really enjoyed recently?
Yes. See, my daughter is a big Wednesday fan, so we are starting season 2 of Wednesday. It's been a busy time. So usually I'm at the theater multiple times a week, but I think, what is the last thing that I saw? Hold on, let me check my AMC pass. I would be there every 4 times a week as the AMC pass would allow if I had my way. And my wife is the same. We're just movie freaks.
Yeah.
And favorite pastime is dissecting movies afterwards.
It's the best. That's why this podcast got started. We're talking about movies. Yeah, 100%.
You can do it for hours. Okay, so The Naked Gun surprised me. That's usually not my brand of comedy. That was good. Loved Superman. And Eddington, very good. I had mixed feelings on it, but I still would recommend it as a watch.
I haven't seen Eddington yet. I've seen the other Ari Aster movies. I really liked Hereditary. I thought Hereditary, Tony Collette specifically in Hereditary, was incredible. Yeah, very good. And I'm with you. You mentioned Sinners and Bring Her Back. And I would say, honestly, those two and Weapons got to be the best horror movies, but on the short list for best movies, because it's such a great time to be a horror fan right now. It seems like almost every other week there's like a new must-see horror movie that's out.
I agree. And I realized that there are studios putting more money into them and hiring more artistic directors and DPs. But I think also, I was thinking about this last night, is horror like the last uncynical genre that we all feel good about? Maybe just because, I don't know, because maybe you can't, if you put horror on top of any other situation, whether it's trauma or comedy, maybe we're all just more open to it because we're cynical. I don't know, but I am loving seeing horror have its heyday.
Yeah, it's a good question, because the comedy movie, I mean, you mentioned Naked Gun, but there's not a ton of comedies anymore, and there's probably a number of different reasons for that. But horror, and probably part of it is it's profitable, right? Like, it's usually smaller budget, and then you can maybe make money off it. So if it's not a comic book movie, maybe it's a horror movie, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at least we've got that in the bag now. I think studios are starting to see that they can make a return on horror. They can invest something into horror, but maybe we're just having a return to movies in general. That's my hope, is that we all are a little brain fried from, TikTok, and I am, but maybe we're just going to get back into all the genres. So maybe having Naked Gun come back and Freakier Friday that just came out, maybe we're going to see a return of all of it.
I was surprised to hear that Zach Krieger's next project is Resident Evil, and not that I won't see it day one, but I thought coming off of this and Barbarian, I thought maybe it'd be something different. But again, I mean, whatever he makes, I'll go see. But were you surprised that he's going with something like an IP like that?
I wasn't surprised that they snatched him up, for sure. And he did say, I think he has said that it will be his own interpretation, and that I believe he wrote it as well. Is that, do you know?
Yeah, I think you're right. No, I think you're definitely right. I think it's going to be as an original a story within that world as you can have. So
yes, yeah. So I'm with you. I know that anything that he puts his hands on is going to turn out great.
All right, very good. Besides Weapons, where can people keep up with you? Where can they follow you on all the different platforms and things like that?
I try to put new stuff up on Instagram. I'm not always great about it, but that's the best place to follow me. If something's going on, it'll be there.
All right, very good. Callie, it was great to meet you. Thank you so much for the time. Continued success with Weapons, and look forward to whatever it is you do next. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The Hashtag Dork Podcast.